he would always tell me that I wasn't gonna make it in this, and I was just like, I was like, all right, well, that's good. That's the motivation I need, you know, from the time I started it.
I want to start climbing the ladder and beat everybody that he beat faster than he beat. So I was like, well, this is the first guy I want to fight. Then I was like, and since I know you like to build your fighters and pad records, I was like, this, tell you what, why don't you, if you're not nervous, why don't you give me one of them guys you want to pad their record? Because I promise you, the full rules, it's going to be a different story. I had told him I'd fight for free. I said, I'll fight for free against one of your guys. I said, you fly me there, I'll fight for free.
Dorian Price, from Baltimore, Maryland, in the U.S. That's where I was born, but been a nomad for a long time. Different, you know, really can't say wasn't all bad, wasn't all good, you know, but growing up in Baltimore, it's interesting for sure. It definitely builds character. When I was younger, I remember my father telling me, you know, you survive, grow up in Baltimore, you can make it anywhere. You take the same lessons that you learn in Baltimore, apply them to everywhere else, be successful in anything. Just had it tough, you know, everybody was just tough. I mean, I had my older cousin, he was a Marine from the Vietnam era, and, you know, just tough guy, just actually wanted to go to Vietnam just so he could get some medals. So, you know, I just come from like a tough family, just, yeah, tough upbringing. I remember just, just different things that most people would think would be like kind of, abnormal was kind of normal for us. I remember just out at the park, and all of a sudden, shootout breaks out, everybody's shooting and shit going crazy, and everybody running. My little brother's out there, he running, everybody scrambling just to shoot out, coming home, and telling my pop, like, dang, I was playing ball, they got the shootout, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm just sitting back there, cool as can be, talking about, well, you survived, so it's a good learning lesson. In the story, I was like, oh, all right. I don't know, I pretty much was gonna be a fighter from day one. I think I was just bred to do this. It was just a matter of me just finding it later, but I think it was like just the hand that was dealt for me. I didn't realize it until I got a little later in the card game that was the hand I was gonna play. I remember switching schools in the 6th grade. I went to, actually 7th grade, I went to a new school. I remember my father sitting me down before I went, first day, and you know, I'm thinking he's gonna give me some sort of like talk and pep talk about school and stuff like that. And I remember him just looking with a straight face saying like, all right, look, this how it's gonna work. This a new school, you the new kid, so you gonna have to fight somebody. So this how it's gonna go down. You know, you gonna fight the dude, don't get no fight with no punk, preferably find the biggest dude and the baddest dude in the school, because you're gonna need to earn a reputation or you're gonna have a rough time at this school. It's gonna be a rough year. And he was like, so don't worry, you probably gonna get suspended, you're gonna be out of school for a couple days. And he was like, but here's the alternative, here's how it's gonna work. You have options. Either you gonna spend that suspension time doing chores and working, or you gonna spend it like having a nice day. And you working if you run out there and get your ass whooped. But if you win, your suspension gonna be alright. So then it was funny, he just went in and actually tried to show me some moves. It was bullshit, but nonetheless. So I remember going to school and ended up getting into it with this dude. And like the usual, tell the dude, you know, meet me at 3 o'clock. We got out at 3 o'clock, everybody, you know, made the scene at the lunchtime. You know, I kind of started with, bumped into him, I kind of scoped out to figure out like who was the like, you know, who seemed to have the most respect and whatnot. And so yeah, it was 3 o'clock. We went out there and yeah, we got the scrap. And boy, that ain't good for me. I must have picked the motherfucking Golden Glove boxer or something. Cause I remember he just whooped my ass like a motherfucker. But I caught him with some good shots. But I think it was after that day I was like, I might be alright at this. Cause I realized I could take a hell of an ass whooping. But it wasn't until later in life that I started fighting. Around 18 is when I first got into it seriously. But that was I guess the unofficial start. My little ass whooping. My first fight, I mean, I started back before anybody knew what any of this really was. I mean, and especially when I should say in the States, it was 97. For the kid named Sean Seagrave from Phil Nurse's, a guy named Phil Nurse, who since become famous for training like GSP and John Jones. I remember the first thing thinking to myself was like, going to my instructor was like this, just thinking to myself like, oh shit, man, like damn, this ain't like no street fight, man. This dude actually like been training to whoop my ass, man. It ain't like it's like fuck, man. Like I remember thinking like shit. I mean, then I can go out there run and punch him in his head and shit, and he ain't looking, or get the one up on him. Like shit, man, he gonna know when it's time to go. I'm gonna know when it's time to go. And fuck, he been training to whoop my ass like I've been training to whoop his ass. And that was it. So I remember just being nervous as hell going in there the first time. And then, you know, first time he hit me, just remember thinking like, oh shit, this ain't too bad, man. This all right. Remember ended up winning by decision. And it was a good fight up until the end. You know, the last round I ended up catching him with 3 good knees, just jump knees and stuff, and caught him one right in the throat. But it was an awesome fight, and that was probably the one that let me know like shit, man, I can really like be something at this, you know, like it was my calling, because I was still in a situation where, you know, I was kind of a knucklehead. You know, I'm not the type of person to say, well, I got like, you know, role models or heroes or things like that, but I'll tell you someone that I respect is like Bernard Hopkins, and another person that I respect, it's probably one of my better friends, one of my best friends is his name Kevin Ross. Just them, cause like for what they, you know, what they accomplished and what the struggles that they had to overcome to get where they are. Cause a lot of times people just see the end result, they don't see the shit, you know, that, you know, you have to go through. There was a time I remember being, you know, in Vegas with Kevin, we would live in a gym, literally, and roaches and shit everywhere and stuff, getting up, training and stuff like that. So I guess those are the people that I look up to. I mean, and I guess you could put anybody in the category that's come from fucking a situation where, you know, the odds are against them. I mean, shit, and they make something of it. Experience was interesting for me. I mean, at first I really didn't want to. I mean, it was kind of like, well, I had a buddy of mine that was kind of like acting as my manager at the same time, was, you know, telling me about the show and saying like I should try out for it, and I was just like, for shits and giggles, like, yeah, all right, whatever, you know. I just dabbled in MMA just because where I was at the time, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for Muay Thai and stuff. And so, you know, MMA was starting to come around, and got onto the show, and it was a good experience. I mean, it was, I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed the fact of just being able to be somewhere for 6 weeks and not have to worry about like nothing. Just almost like the outside world doesn't exist. I mean, almost like you're locked away and confined in a situation where you just training with, you know, other people who just hungry, you know. And so it's like, it was just no distractions. For me, it was a perfect situation, you know, aside from the cameras. I just couldn't get used to that. That was the biggest thing. I remember coming off the show, and you know, I couldn't find nobody, wasn't finding anybody to help and stuff like that. And my own team was almost like they kind of turned their back on me and shit, you know. But like, that's, for me, it was like, whatever. It wasn't the first time I like somebody turned their back on me, so I was kind of used to it. Like no one really kind of schooled me on what the fuck, you know, like at that point, how much 15 minutes of fame is. Everybody wants a piece of you and shit, and you know, everybody like fucking, you know, you got fucking girls that wouldn't spit on you all of a sudden, you know, somehow managing to find your number, and people seeing you on TV, associating TV with having money. I remember having people, I'm not gonna mention any names, calling me up, talking about, yeah, we seen you on TV, you know. Then when it hit you up for the money thing, like, it automatically, some magical way, like being on TV gave me like more money. Nah, I'm broke as ever and shit. Off on the other end. And this is out of the blue. And remember him sitting there saying like, you know, yeah, it wasn't like, hey, how you doing? It was, heard you got your ass whooped. Embarrass yourself. And I remember thinking to myself like, all right, well, you know, here we go. It's gonna be like a pep talk or something else. And he was like this. And I just remember after that, the next phrase was like, you ready to quit now? You ready to give up? You know, told you wasn't gonna make it. You know, you should have listened, should have stopped a long time ago. I mean, if that was like the nail in the coffin for really hardening my armor and really like, you know, getting myself together. That whole experience was. Cause I just remember it's like, fuck it, it's me in this game and me alone. I can't depend on nobody. I can't trust nobody. I can't, you know, take anybody's word for nothing. I mean, whatever I get, I have to get on my own. And that was cool because I just went back and resorted back to life lessons I had learned growing up. My best friend was doing, you know, since I was 16, he'd been doing like life in prison. One day, you know, he was talking to me about, you know, about opportunities and things like that. And this was from someone, you know, he was a phenomenal football player at the time before, you know, certain choices took him a certain path. But, you know, he was just talking about, and he was just asking me what was I doing and so on and so forth. And I was like, I'm not really doing shit, you know, he had known about the fight and stuff. And like, you know, I'm like, I don't know, man, this game. He's like, you know, you need to go somewhere where you're gonna have no distraction. So that my brother, we chip, you know, put it together and got a one-way ticket. I remember my brother telling me, you know, like it was a one-way ticket, and then, you know, he's like, you know, you get your ass a one-way ticket. That way, you don't have no option. You can't fail. He's like, and the only way your ass can come home is fight and earn your way back. He's like, because if you, he's like, don't get it to a round trip ticket because that's an out, because you have an out. If shit don't go right, you always have a return date. So I ended up in Thailand, those things, and that's why, you know, and being here, I guess a lot of people, I don't know if they misunderstand me or, you know, don't know too much I don't know what to think. I mean, it's great people here, surrounded by beautiful people, and but sometimes I think I'm maybe just misunderstood because, I mean, everybody has a reason for being here. Everybody's sacrifice. I guess everybody have a story. You know, my story ain't no better or worse or glamorous or not than anybody else's. If I'm not training, I'm pretty much in my room. I mean, I enjoy the confinement because, I mean, I feel like for me, fighting, one thing I guess that made fighting good for me is that, you know, that I love it so much is you can't rely on anybody. You can't blame anybody. If you start getting your ass whooped, your homeboys can't help you. If 50 Cent was your entrance music, 50 Cent ain't gonna jump out the speakers if you start getting your ass whooped. I mean, it's you, and it's all, you know, and that's what I love about it, and that's why I like to, you know, constantly be getting comfortable by myself, you know, almost to the point of like, sometimes it does drive me insane because I want to put the most amount of pressure on myself that I possibly can, to almost to the point where it just drives me to insanity because I'm not playing checkers. I mean, I'm fighting, so, you know, insanity is just part of it. 10 years from now, you know, God willing, I'm still around, you know, and still have the ability to be in the sport. Like to be, you know, have been a champion. Like to, more importantly, like be in a position where people can look back and be like, you know, and look at me and say, you know, shit, man, you know, he never gave up. Whatever happens in my situation, you know, like I said, I like to be a champion, like to go out there, but mostly I just want people to look back and be like, you know, fuck, you know, like he made it, you know, through perseverance.